Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining. My name is Berit and today we have a little bit of a TBR video for Koreadathon. Koreadathon is a week-long readathon, or well, kind of like a reading challenge, which takes place from the 7th to the 13th, I think, of March. And it is hosted by Books with Chloe and Monica Kim. I will link their announcement and TBR videos down below. And I thought I want to participate. I have actually never participated in a readathon before in my life because reading many books in a short amount of time is not exactly what I usually do, but I thought that Koreadathon sounded super interesting and super cool, so I wanted to participate, and we'll see how many of the books that I'm putting on my TBR I will actually get to. So Koreadathon this year has 7-ish reading challenges, and I'm combining some books for some of the challenges. We are starting with the group book, so that's not really a reading challenge, but Monica and Chloe have decided on a group book that everybody is invited to read, and that is Winter in Sokcho by Elisa Chua du Sapin. I got Winter in Sokcho as an ebook in German. The novel is quite short. It's about a young woman who lives in a village near the North Korean border, and an artist from the Normandy in France who comes there, and while she wants to get away from the little village, he wants to experience the quiet and I think the authentic Korea or something. And anyway, it sounded interesting and I'm very excited to read it, and also I will finally use my e-reader again. I am not much of an e-reader person actually, but I think for shorter books they can be quite handy. The second challenge is to read a book translated from Korean, and I haven't quite decided which book I will read for this. It will be either Kim Ji-young, born 1982 by Cho Nam-ju, or it might be an anthology with Korean poems translated to Norwegian, which I found in the local library. And I thought this might also be kind of cool. I have never read Korean poetry before, and I think they have a selection here with poems from the 3rd century until the beginning of the 21st century. And Kim Ji-young, born 1982, this book is pretty famous, I think. I don't know if I have to say much about it. I technically started reading it, but I might have to start over again because I started reading it like a month ago. This is about a young woman and her life in Korea, and about Korean society and women in Korean society, etc. I think it might be super interesting. Might not be the most uplifting read ever, but if I will decide to read the poems for the Koreadathon, I will read this at some other point in time, I'm sure. So yeah, going on, the third challenge is to read a Korean manhwa, graphic novel or webtoon, and I might skip over that one, maybe. If I don't skip over that one, I might continue reading a webtoon that I have started, which is called Gosu. I haven't read a lot of it, but I thought it was quite nice. It's something kind of historical-ish with a lot of action and fighting, so it's nice. So maybe I will just continue reading this, but I might also skip over that one. The fourth challenge is to read a historical fiction, and I chose Pachinko for that by Min-jin Lee. I think this book is also pretty popular, so I don't know if I have to say much about it. This is about several generations in Korea and in Japan, and about the history of a family. And this book, I think, is lowest on my priority list, just because it's very, very long, and I also heard that it's very, very sad. And I don't think that it will be realistic for me to read this book over the course of 1 week. So we will see whether I will get to reading this during Koreadathon or not. But anyway, it is on my radar and I really want to read it at some point. Challenge number 5 is to read an award-winning Korean novel, and I'm gonna reuse the group book for that because the author won the Robert Walser Prize for Winter in Sokcho. So I'm just kind of reusing that and checking off 2 challenges with 1 book. Challenge number 6 is to read a book that was recommended by a Korean celebrity. So I made this challenge way more complicated for myself than I should have. I tend to do stuff like that because I first Googled book recommendations from several Korean actors and actresses, and I didn't find anything. Either I didn't find anything or I didn't find anything that was actually translated into English. So yeah, that was kind of a dead end, or maybe my Googling skills are really low. Both of these options are very possible, I'm afraid. So I did in the end go down the K-pop route, and I didn't find a book recommendation from any member of the first group that I tried to look up, but I did find a book recommendation, actually a lot of book recommendations from the second group that I looked up, and I landed with a recommendation from Jin Young from the group GOT7. He has actually recommended a lot of books, and I decided to read Essays in Love by Alain de Botton, which sounds French, but he's actually from Switzerland. He is a Swiss author and philosopher. And Essays in Love, I don't really know a lot about the book. I think it's quite known. It's kind of part novel, part kind of philosophical work, I think, about love. Surprise. Might be very interesting. So I decided to read that one for that challenge. And then the last challenge, number 7, is to read a book featuring a Korean diaspora character. And again, I chose Pachinko for that one because the family, they go to Japan at some point. So they don't stay in Korea all the time. Yeah, so I'm kind of reusing that for that challenge. But as I said, it's not very likely that I will read this book in that week. And then at the end, Monica and Chloe also included 3 life/cultural challenges. The first of those challenges is to cook a Korean meal or dish. I don't know yet what I'm gonna make. I think maybe I will make a soup, but we'll see. We'll see. The second challenge is to watch a Korean show or film, and I decided that I want to watch a Korean film. And I did find something in the library that was not Parasite, not The Handmaiden, and not Train to Busan. And that film is called Burning. I don't really know what it's about, but I think it's a thriller, and I think it's loosely based on a story by Haruki Murakami. I don't know what I think about that because I'm not a fan of Murakami, but we'll see. I also want to recommend another film if you use Netflix and if you want to watch a nice cozy Korean film. I want to recommend Space Sweepers, which is a science fiction kind of found family type film. And the film is very interesting with regard to language because it takes place in the future and everybody kind of speaks their own native language, but they can understand each other because everybody has kind of like a translation device in their ears. And anyway, the film is really nice. It's very cozy, so I recommend it if you feel like watching a nice Korean film. And the very last challenge is to support a Korean creator. I'm not sure what I will do for this. I did look up an indie game publisher, a Korean one called Turtle Cream, and they have the cutest logo ever. I might buy one of their 2 computer games that are on Steam. But yeah, we'll see. So anyway, those are the challenges and that is my TBR. I think the first book that I will tackle to read is the group book. If I manage to read that during the week, I will go on to the book that is translated from Koreans. Book number 3 would be Essays in Love, and then book number 4 would be Pachinko. And yeah, and then I guess number 5 would be the Webtoon Gosu. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I might film a wrap-up of that week specifically to ramble a bit about what it was like to read Korean books, eat Korean food, and watch Korean films, which I think sounds really cool. So I'm excited for the Koreadathon. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe you also feel inspired to join the Koreadathon, and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye.